The alien armada of the Zerath Dominion hung in orbit like a storm of black blades. Thousands of warships surrounded the planet, their jagged hulls glowing with cold, crimson energy. For 3 weeks, the enemy fleet had been silent, watching, waiting, like predators circling prey. Cities on Earth remained under strict curfew, with people hiding in underground shelters. Fear gripped the world. On the night of the 72nd hour, the silence ended. A single voice, deep and harsh, boomed through every broadcast channel, every communication tower, and every military frequency. The face of Overlord Kryvax, Supreme Commander of the Zerath Dominion's forces, appeared as a towering hologram above Earth's skies. His scaled skin glistened under alien light, and his 4 golden eyes gleamed with arrogance. "People of Earth," Kryvax declared, his voice echoing across every home and every shelter. "You stand at the edge of extinction. Your fleets are broken, your weapons are outdated, and your allies have abandoned you. You have 72 hours to surrender, unconditionally. Refuse and your planet will burn." The message sent waves of despair through Earth's population. Across continents, humans fell to their knees weeping. Entire families prayed for mercy. Many begged their leaders to accept the surrender before the alien fleet unleashed its power. At United Earth Command headquarters located beneath the Rocky Mountains, the Situation Room buzzed with tension. Generals, admirals, and diplomats sat around a massive holographic table displaying the enemy blockade in orbit. Red markers filled the projection, each representing a Zerath warship. Admiral Sarah Kane, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, stood at the head of the table. Her dark uniform was sharp and spotless, but exhaustion lined her face. She had slept only 2 hours in the past 3 days. Still, her voice was steady and controlled. "We have received the message," Kane said. "Kryvax expects our surrender in less than 3 days. If we refuse, he will bombard Earth until no city remains standing." General Marcus Hayes, a grizzled veteran, slammed his fist on the table. "We can't fight that. Look at their numbers, Admiral. They have 5,000 ships surrounding us, and we have barely 300 active defense vessels left. This is a slaughter waiting to happen." Another council member, an elderly diplomat, spoke with trembling hands. Perhaps surrender is the only way to save our people. The Zerath may allow us to live if we obey." A sharp silence fell over the room. Admiral Kane's gaze turned icy. "Live?" she repeated. "As slaves? As their conquered cattle?" She took a step forward, her boots echoing against the steel floor. "The Zerath do not allow anyone to live freely. Once they take Earth, they will strip our planet of resources and turn our people into tools for their war machine. You've seen what they've done to the Kirel colonies and the Vishari homeworld." The diplomat's shoulders sagged. He could not argue. Everyone had seen the broadcasts, entire worlds reduced to ash, their populations forced into servitude. General Hayes growled, "Then what do you suggest, Admiral? We can't win a direct battle." Kane's expression shifted slightly, almost like a secret had been hiding behind her calm face all along. She pressed a control pad, and the holographic map changed. The red enemy markers remained, but now small blue dots appeared in various locations, hidden bases scattered across the solar system. Some were on the dark side of the moon, others beneath the oceans, and a few even drifted silently among the asteroids of the belt. The generals gasped. "This," Kane said, "is Project Phantom. For 20 years, humanity has been preparing for this day. While the Zerath watched our public fleets grow slowly and weakly, we built a second fleet in secret. A fleet designed to be invisible to their sensors and faster than anything they have ever faced." Whispers filled the room. One younger officer, Commander Ilara Voss, stared wide-eyed at the display. "You mean, we actually have another fleet? A hidden one?" Kane nodded. "Yes, we call them the Shadow Fleet. These ships are equipped with advanced stealth technology, experimental weapons, and crews trained in complete secrecy. They were never meant to be seen until the moment of our counterattack." General Hayes looked stunned. "You kept this from the rest of us?" Kane's voice hardened. "If the Zerath had learned of it, they would have destroyed us before we were ready." Even now, their intelligence network doesn't suspect the existence of these ships. That ignorance is our only advantage. The diplomat shook his head nervously. But surely this fleet is not large enough to face the entire Zerath armada. No, Kane admitted. Not head-on. But we don't need to fight their entire fleet at once. We need to strike hard, strike fast, and make them believe we are everywhere at once. Fear will be our greatest weapon. The room went quiet as the weight of her words sank in. For a brief moment, hope flickered in the eyes of the generals and officers. Admiral, Commander Voss said cautiously, when do we deploy the Shadow Fleet? Kane's lips curved into a faint, determined smile. Tonight. While Earth's population trembled under Kryvax's threat, the alien overlord watched from the command deck of his flagship, the Blood Dominion, a massive warship the size of a small city. The interior of the flagship was alive with alien energy. Tall reptilian officers moved between glowing consoles, their clawed hands manipulating holographic symbols. The bridge reeked of metallic scents and the faint tang of ozone. Kryvax stood at the center, his 4 golden eyes focused on a 3-dimensional map of Earth. To him, this was not a war, it was a display of dominance. Report, he commanded in his guttural language. One of his captains bowed. Overlord, our blockade remains unchallenged. The humans have shown no signs of resistance. Their smaller fleets hide within their planetary atmosphere, too weak to rise against us. Kryvax's mouth twisted into something resembling a smile. As expected, they are a primitive species. When their time runs out, we will crush them and their world will fuel our expansion. Another officer hesitated before speaking. Overlord, there are strange readings on the dark side of the moon, brief energy fluctuations. Perhaps human activity? Kryvax's smile vanished. Explain. The officer fumbled slightly. It may be nothing, Supreme One. A malfunction in our sensors. But if there is hidden human activity there, Kryvax cut him off with a dismissive gesture. Irrelevant. The humans have no technology capable of threatening us. Increase scans, but do not waste resources chasing phantoms. He turned back, to the map of Earth, certain of his victory. Beneath the surface of the moon, deep within a camouflaged base, the Shadow Fleet stirred. Massive hangars buzzed with energy as sleek black warships powered up for the first time in full combat readiness. These ships had no bright lights or visible engines. Their hulls absorbed light, rendering them nearly invisible in space. Their weapons were silent, their presence ghostly. In the command chamber, Admiral Kane observed through a reinforced viewing window as ship after ship lifted off silently. Each vessel moved like a predator emerging from darkness. Commander Alara, Voss approached her. The crews are ready, Admiral. Captain Reed's flagship Phantom Spear will lead the first strike group. Kane nodded, her face illuminated by the glow of the control panels. Good. Their mission is simple. Disrupt the Zerath patrols and make them question their own sensors. The moment they start doubting what they see, we will gain the psychological edge. Voss swallowed nervously. If this fails... Kane turned to her with steely determination. If this fails, Earth will fall, but it will not fail. Humanity has been underestimated for too long. As the first group of Shadow Fleet ships disappeared into the void, Kryvax's fleet continued to circle Earth, waiting for the humans to kneel. In the streets of Earth's cities, people gathered around screens, terrified, expecting their leaders to announce surrender. But Admiral Kane appeared instead. Her broadcast was calm and unshaken. People of Earth, she said, her voice firm and clear. The enemy believes we are weak. They believe we will bow before them. They are wrong. Even now, our forces move unseen, ready to strike. Stand firm, stay united, and know this: humanity will never surrender. Far above, Kryvax scowled as he watched the broadcast. He did not realize that at that very moment, his outer patrol ships were vanishing one by one, destroyed silently, by the ghosts of the Shadow Fleet. Admiral Kane turned from the camera, her eyes narrowing. Let them wait for our surrender, she whispered to herself. When the time comes, they'll see only shadows. And so the first move of Earth's secret war began. The cold darkness of space stretched endlessly around the solar system. For the people of Earth, it felt like a prison. The Zereth Dominion's fleet still hovered above the planet like a deadly ring, their thousands of warships ready to strike at a moment's notice. To most humans, it seemed hopeless. They saw only the fragile public defense fleets scattered and outdated. But hidden beneath that hopeless surface was a secret that only a handful of leaders knew: the Shadow Fleet, humanity's last and greatest gamble. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, in a massive concealed base known as Aegis Corps, Admiral Sarah Kane walked briskly through steel corridors, her boots clicking against the polished floor. The base was alive with activity. Engineers hurried between consoles, mechanics checked, weapons systems and pilots prepared their ships. Massive screens displayed tactical maps of the solar system. Commander Alara Voss, young but sharp-minded, followed closely behind the Admiral. "The first strike group has returned from their mission, Admiral," she reported. 3 Zereth patrol ships destroyed. No detection, no survivors. Kane allowed herself a small, satisfied nod. "Good. The plan is working. Let's hope Kryvax continues to underestimate us." Ilara hesitated. "Ma'am, I still can't believe all of this existed without anyone knowing. The Shadow Fleet, these bases, it feels like something out of a legend." Kane's expression softened slightly. "That was the idea, Commander. Let me tell you how this began." 20 years earlier, the beginning of Project Phantom, in the early days of humanity's expansion into space, Earth had made contact with alien civilizations. At first, those encounters were peaceful, even hopeful. But then came the First Contact Wars, a brutal conflict with a hostile species known as the Vroth. Humanity had barely survived, losing entire colonies and fleets. When the war ended, many world leaders swore it would never happen again. But one group of visionaries went further. They were engineers, scientists, and military strategists who gathered in secret. Among them was a young Sarah Kane, then only a promising officer with bold ideas. Their belief was simple: humanity could not rely on open strength alone. If they built fleets that everyone could see, the galaxy's great powers would monitor and counter them. Instead, humanity needed a weapon hidden in the shadows, a fleet so advanced and so secret that no enemy would know it existed until it struck. Thus, Project Phantom was born. Construction began in places no one would think to look. Deep beneath the oceans on the far side of the moon, inside hollowed-out asteroids, and even within disguised mining stations, hidden shipyards were built. The ships themselves were designed to be like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of bulky frames, they were sleek and black, built with experimental alloys that absorbed light and radiation. Their engines emitted no visible glow, and their advanced cloaking fields made them invisible to standard sensors. These ships had one purpose: to fight from the shadows, striking like ghosts before vanishing into the void. The crews were trained in total secrecy. They lived apart from the rest of humanity, their existence erased from records. Families were told they had died in accidents or gone missing. Only the highest-ranking members of United Earth Command knew the truth. For 2 decades, while the galaxy laughed at humanity's weakness, the Shadow Fleet grew silently. Back in the present, Ilara listened wide-eyed as Admiral Kane recounted the story. "All this time," Ilara said softly, "while the rest of us believed we were falling behind, we were actually preparing for this very moment." Kane nodded. "Exactly. The Zerath think they face a cornered prey. They don't realize we are hunters waiting to strike." Ilara glanced at the tactical display showing the enemy fleet. "But even with the Shadow Fleet, their numbers are overwhelming. What if Kryvax adapts quickly? What if they discover us too soon?" Kane's gaze was steady, calm yet fierce. "Then we make them afraid. Fear is more powerful than numbers. If they believe we are everywhere, they will hesitate, and hesitation is death in war." Meanwhile, far above, Overlord Kryvax paced within the command chamber of his colossal flagship, the Blood Dominion. The alien warlord was uneasy. In the last 12 hours, several of his patrol groups had gone missing near the outer reaches of the solar system. No wreckage, no distress signals, just silence. Captain Varash, his most trusted officer, stood stiffly before him. Supreme One, our scanners have found no trace of the missing vessels. It is as if they vanished. Kryvax's golden eyes narrowed. Vanished? That is impossible. Humans do not possess stealth technology of this caliber. Their ships are primitive, clumsy. Vorash hesitated, then said, "And yet, Overlord, the patrols are gone. Some of my sub-commanders whisper of phantoms." Phantoms? Kryvax snarled, his tail lashing behind him. Superstitious nonsense. There are no ghosts here, only rebels hiding behind tricks. Increase patrol strength. Double the scanning frequencies. I will not have this fleet humiliated by prey. Yes, Overlord. But even as Vorash departed, doubt lingered in Kryvax's mind. He remembered the last message from one of the missing patrols, a garbled transmission filled with static and a single human word. Shadow. Back on Earth, in a dimly lit war room deep inside Aegis Corps, Admiral Kane addressed her key officers. A massive holographic map showed the positions of both human and alien forces. Phase 2 begins tonight, Kane announced. The Zereth still believe our attacks are random acts of desperation. We will feed that belief while striking vital supply lines. Captain Jackson Reed, commander of the Shadow Fleet flagship Phantom Spear, stood at attention. He was a tall, calm figure with a reputation for bold tactics. Targets, Admiral? Kane highlighted several glowing points near the asteroid belt. The Zerath have 3 key fuel depots hidden among these asteroids. Without those, their outer fleets will be forced to retreat for resupply. Reed studied the map, his mind already racing. Understood. We'll approach under full stealth, eliminate the depots, and leave no trace. Commander Alara Voss frowned. But if even one of our ships is detected, the enemy will know about us. Reed gave her a reassuring look. They won't detect us, that's why we exist. Kane's eyes met Reed's. Make sure of it, Captain. The entire war depends on secrecy. As the Phantom Spear and its escort group slipped silently from the moon's dark side, their hulls blended perfectly with the void. Inside the ship, the crew worked with calm precision. No lights shone on the bridge except for the faint glow of holographic displays. The stealth systems hummed softly, cloaking the vessel from enemy scanners. Reed stood at the command station. Engage silent running, he ordered. Take us. In slow and steady, the helmsman nodded. Silent running engaged, no external emissions. As the fleet drifted toward the asteroid belt, a small Zerath patrol passed nearby. The alien ships flew past, unaware that death lurked less than a kilometer away. Reed watched silently, his hands steady. One mistake, one accidental signal, and their mission would be exposed. Hours later, the Shadow Fleet reached its target. The Zerath fuel depots floated among the asteroids, heavily guarded by cruisers and defense platforms. Reed's voice was calm. All units prepare attack sequence. We strike fast, then vanish. Shadow bombers slipped from their hiding spots, releasing silent torpedoes. The torpedoes moved without visible trails, invisible until the moment of impact. In a single, synchronized strike, all 3 depots exploded in silent bursts of light. The Zereth guards barely had time to react before they too were destroyed by precision fire. By the time enemy reinforcements arrived, the Shadow Fleet was gone, leaving only wreckage and confusion. Back on the Blood Dominion, Kryvax roared with rage as reports flooded in. 3 depots gone in under 5 minutes, Varash reported, his voice trembling. Our scanners detected nothing until the explosions. Survivors claim the attackers were invisible. Kryvax's claws dug into the metal railing of his throne. Invisible ships? Humans cannot have this technology. Vorash swallowed. And yet, they do. For the first time, Kryvax felt something dangerous. Fear. At Aegis Corps, Admiral Kane stood before her officers as cheers echoed through the base. Phase 2 is complete, Commander Alara Voss reported, smiling for the first time in weeks. The enemy supply lines are crippled. Their outer fleets will be forced to retreat. Kane allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. Good, but this is only the beginning. Kryvax will not sit idle. He will come hunting for us. Reed, standing beside her, asked, "And when he does?" Kane's eyes hardened. "Then we show him that humans are not prey. We are the hunters hiding in the dark." Far above the Zerath fleet tightened its grip, unaware that every tightening move only brought them closer to destruction. The Shadow Fleet was no longer just a hidden weapon. It was a legend being born, one whispered even among alien worlds. And as fear spread through the enemy ranks, humanity's chance for survival grew stronger with every silent strike. The war had only just begun. The solar system had become a silent battlefield. The Zerath Dominion's massive fleet still surrounded Earth, a black ring of destruction ready to strike. But cracks were beginning to appear. Supply ships were vanishing. Patrol groups were failing to report back. Small explosions erupted in distant sectors, leaving only wreckage drifting through space. To the average Zerath soldier, it seemed like madness. Their empire was feared across the galaxy. No species had ever dared challenge them openly. Yet here, against a supposedly primitive planet, their fleets were being hunted like prey. Whispers began to spread through the alien ranks. Some spoke of invisible demons haunting the void. Others believed human spirits were attacking from beyond, the grave. The official reports were vague and full of contradictions, but the fear was real. Overlord Kryvax stood inside the Grand Command Hall of his flagship, the Blood Dominion, staring at a holographic map. Red dots representing his warships flickered on the display, but entire sectors now showed empty space where patrols had once been. His golden eyes blazed with fury. "Explain this," he roared, his deep voice shaking the chamber. Captain Vorash, his most trusted officer, bowed low, his scales shimmering nervously. "Supreme One, our scouts continue to vanish without a trace. Our sensors detect no enemy vessels, no weapon signatures, nothing." Kryvax's tail lashed angrily behind him. "Nothing does not destroy my ships, Captain. Something is out there, and you will find it." Vorash hesitated. "There are reports, Overlord. Survivors claim they were attacked by shadows. Some speak of human vessels that appear for only a moment before disappearing again." The other officers exchanged uneasy glances. Kryvax growled, his claws digging into the railing of his throne. "Shadows? Superstitious garbage. The humans have no such technology. They are weak, barely worthy of our notice." But deep inside, even Kryvax felt a sliver of unease. This enemy was behaving unlike anything he had faced before. "Double all patrols," he ordered finally. "If these ghosts exist, we will flush them out, and when we find them, we will tear them apart." Far from Kryvax's flagship, on the dark side of the moon, the Shadow Fleet prepared for its most daring mission yet. Inside the hidden lunar base, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Sleek black warships floated silently in massive hangars, their hulls absorbing every ray of light. Engineers checked final systems, while pilots reviewed battle plans. Admiral Sarah Kane stood on the command balcony overlooking the fleet. Her voice carried strength and calm as she addressed the assembled officers through the base's intercom. "Today we move beyond small strikes. The enemy believes their numbers make them invincible. It is time to prove them wrong. The Shadow Fleet will not only harass them, we will destroy one of their main patrol armadas near Mars." Gasps and murmurs echoed through the hangar. Commander Alara Voss, standing beside Kane, spoke quietly. "Admiral, that's a major operation. If we're detected, Kryvax will learn the truth about our strength." Kane's eyes were sharp and determined. He already suspects something. It's better we control what he learns. A decisive strike will sow fear and confusion. They will begin to imagine us as far stronger than we are. Captain Jackson Reed, commander of the flagship Phantom, Spear stepped forward. He was tall, calm, and radiated quiet confidence. My crews are ready, Admiral. We'll give them a battle they'll never forget. Kane placed a hand on his shoulder. See that you return, Captain. Humanity needs its hunters. Hours later, deep space near Mars was silent except for the slow patrol movements of a Zirath battle group. The enemy formation consisted of 20 heavy cruisers and 40 escorts, a force strong enough to crush any known human fleet. Their ships glowed faintly red, casting an eerie light across the barren Martian surface below. The Zirath commanders were relaxed, certain that humans would never dare challenge them here. Then, without warning, one of the escort ships simply exploded. No weapon trails, no warning, just a sudden burst of light and debris. Confusion erupted among the alien ranks. What happened? Barked the Zirath commander. Report! There was no incoming fire, sir, shouted a sensor officer. The ship just vanished. Before the commander could respond, 3 more escorts were torn apart by invisible strikes. Panic began to spread. And then, for the briefest moment, dark shapes shimmered into view, sleek angular ships unlike anything the Zirath had seen before. Their black hulls seemed to drink in the starlight before fading back into invisibility. The Shadow Fleet had arrived. On the bridge of the Phantom Spear, Captain Reed issued rapid orders. Target their command ships first, he said, his voice calm despite the chaos outside. Use silent torpedoes, then fade before they can lock on. Aye, Captain, replied the weapons officer. Shadow Fleet vessels moved like predators in the dark. They appeared only long enough to strike, their torpedoes cutting through Zirath armor like paper, then vanished into nothingness. The enemy fired wildly into empty space, their sensors unable to track the human ships. From the bridge of his flagship, the Zirath commander screamed in frustration. We are under attack by ghosts. Lock onto something, anything. But there was nothing to lock onto. Within minutes, the battle group's formation collapsed. The once disciplined Zirath fleet broke apart as ships fled in different directions. Backgay. On the moon, Admiral Kane and Commander Voss watched the battle through encrypted transmissions. Voss's eyes widened as she saw the enemy armada fall apart. It's working, Admiral. They're completely disoriented. Kane's expression remained controlled, though pride glimmered in her eyes. Good. Broadcast fragments of this battle to nearby systems. Let every alien civilization see the mighty Zirath humiliated by an unseen enemy. Voss turned to her, surprised. You want other species to know what we've done? Yes, Kane said firmly. Fear is a weapon. If the galaxy believes we are powerful, Kryvax's allies will begin to question him. His empire will weaken before we even fire another shot. As the last Zirath cruiser tried to escape, Captain Reed gave his final command. Signal all units. Disengage. Leave one enemy ship intact, let it run home to tell the story. The Shadow Fleet vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving only wreckage and a single terrified survivor. On the fleeing cruiser, the alien crew babbled in panic. One officer whispered to another, Did you see them? Ships of darkness. They came from nowhere. They are demons, another cried. The humans have summoned demons to fight for them. Hours later, the surviving cruiser limped back to Kryvax's flagship. Vorash listened to the crew's frantic report, his face pale. When he repeated their words to Kryvax, the Overlord's fury exploded. Demons? Ghosts? Invisible ships? Kryvax's voice shook the entire chamber. Pathetic excuses for failure. I will not believe such fairy tales. Vorash spoke carefully, trying to calm him. Supreme One, their descriptions match earlier reports from other vanished patrols. Perhaps the humans possess technology beyond what we assumed. Kryvax's claws clenched. For a moment he said nothing, then his voice turned cold. If this is true, he hissed, then we are not fighting primitives. We are fighting a hidden enemy who dares mock the Dominion. I will not rest until their shadows are burned away. He slammed his fist onto the console. Prepare the trap. We will draw these ghosts into the open and crush them once and for all. Back at Aegis Core, celebrations erupted among the Shadow Fleet crews as news of the victory spread. Commander Voss turned to Admiral Kane, smiling. We've given humanity hope, Admiral. The people are finally beginning to believe we can win. Kane allowed herself a small smile. Hope is good, but we must not grow careless. Krivax will strike back harder than ever. Captain Reed entered the room, saluting sharply. The mission was a success, Admiral. Zirath losses were total, except for one ship left to spread fear as planned. Excellent work, Captain, Kane said. But remember, this was only the first strike. The war is far from over. Reed nodded grimly. I know. Next time they'll be ready for us. Kane's gaze turned to the star map, where red markers still swarmed around Earth. Let them come, she said softly. The shadows will be waiting. Far across the galaxy, alien civilizations began whispering about the mysterious battle near Mars. The humans destroyed a Zirath fleet with invisible ships, one ambassador said in disbelief. They were supposed to be weak, another replied. What else are they hiding? Fear began to spread, not just among the Zirath, but throughout the galaxy. And deep inside the darkness of space, the Shadow Fleet prepared for the next move, knowing that the war was only just beginning, and that the enemy now believed they were facing something far more terrifying than mere humans. Across countless worlds, news of the battle near Mars spread like wildfire. Entire Zirath patrol fleets had been destroyed by an enemy no one had seen clearly. Rumors grew with every retelling. Some spoke of human ships cloaked in darkness. Others swore they were ancient war spirits summoned from Earth's oceans. Whatever the truth, one fact was clear. The mighty Zirath Dominion had been humiliated. Inside his colossal flagship, the Blood Dominion, Overlord Krivax seethed with fury. The command hall's towering walls vibrated as he roared, his golden eyes blazing. First they steal my patrols, then they destroy an entire battle group, and now the galaxy dares to laugh at me. I am Krivax, Supreme Overlord of the Dominion. I will not be mocked by a primitive species. Captain Varash, standing rigidly before him, dared to speak. Supreme One, our scouts confirm the reports. The enemy vessels appear and vanish like ghosts. Our scanners cannot track them. The crews are terrified. Krivax's claws dug into the metal railing. Then we will make them visible. Varash blinked in confusion. Visible, Overlord? Krivax turned sharply, his voice cold and deadly. The humans hide because they are weak. We will force them into the open by presenting a target they cannot resist. He gestured to the holographic map, highlighting the gas giant Jupiter and its moons. We will stage a weakness here. A supply convoy will appear unguarded as if our forces are spread too thin. The humans will strike, believing they have caught us unaware. When they reveal themselves, my hidden armada will descend and crush them in a single blow. Varash hesitated. And if they suspect a trap, then they will run, Krivax snarled. And when they run, the galaxy will know that the humans are nothing but cowards hiding behind tricks. The Overlord's plan was set. Far away, beneath the Pacific Ocean, the Aegis Corps base pulsed with activity. The Shadow Fleet had returned from their victory near Mars, and crews were rearming their ships for the next phase of war. Admiral Sarah, Kane stood in the main command room, her face calm but eyes sharp as she studied fresh intelligence reports. Commander Alara Voss entered quickly, holding a data tablet. Admiral, we've intercepted Zirath transmissions. A lightly guarded supply convoy is moving near Jupiter. This could be a perfect target. Captain Jackson Reed, standing near the tactical display, frowned. It seems too perfect. The Zirath. Don't make mistakes like this, not after Mars. Alara's excitement dimmed. You think it's a trap? Reed nodded slowly. Krivax isn't a fool. He knows we'll strike valuable targets. If I were him, I'd use bait to draw us out. Admiral Kane listened quietly, then spoke with measured authority. I agree. With Captain Reed, it smells like a trap. But she tapped a control panel, bringing up a star map. If it is a trap, that also means Krivax himself will be there. This might be our only chance to weaken his command directly. Ilara's eyes widened. You want to walk into it deliberately? Yes, Kane said firmly. But on our terms. We'll let him think we've taken the bait, while preparing our own surprise. Reed's lips curved into a faint smile. I like it. Shadow against shadow. Kane nodded. Captain Reed, you'll lead the fleet into the ambush zone. Commander Voss, you'll coordinate from here, remember. Secrecy is our greatest weapon. If even one Zerath ship survives with accurate information, everything we've built collapses. Ours. Later, the Shadow Fleet emerged silently from hidden bases, gliding toward Jupiter's orbit. Their hulls were as black as the void, utterly invisible to enemy sensors. Inside the Phantom Spear, Captain Reed watched the vast gas giant grow larger. On the view screen, report, he said calmly. Enemy convoy sighted, the sensor officer replied. Exactly where our intel predicted. 5 freighters, only 2 escorts, no sign of additional forces. Reed's instincts screamed danger. Stay sharp. Maintain full stealth. We move as if the entire Dominion is watching. The fleet drifted. Closer, silent and unseen. On the far side of Jupiter, hidden within the planet's magnetic storms, Kryvax's true armada waited. Hundreds of Zerath warships floated in perfect silence, their energy signatures masked by advanced cloaking fields. Kryvax stood at the center of his bridge, his teeth bared in anticipation. Hold positions, he growled. Do not reveal yourselves until they strike. Let the humans taste victory for a moment before we annihilate them. Captain Vorash, though loyal, felt a flicker of unease. Supreme One, their stealth technology is advanced. Are we certain our scanners will detect them? They will, Kryvax said coldly. And even if they do not, numbers will decide. The battle. No matter how clever these humans are, they cannot fight 1,000 warships. As the Shadow Fleet closed in, Captain Reed issued orders. Target the convoy's escorts first. Silent torpedoes only. Keep our positions hidden. Moments later, 2 Zerath escort ships erupted into silent bursts of flame. The freighters scattered, broadcasting distress calls. From his hiding place, Kryvax smiled cruelly. Fools. They think they've won. He raised his clawed hand. Now. In an instant, the space around Jupiter came alive with crimson light. Kryvax's hidden armada decloaked, forming a massive wall of warships. Energy beams lanced toward the Shadow Fleet's last known positions. Ambush! Shouted the Phantom Spear's sensor officer. Hundreds of ships incoming. Reed's voice remained steady. Execute evasive pattern Delta, scatter and cloak. The Shadow Fleet split apart like shards of darkness. Zerath beams tore through empty space, hitting only asteroids and decoys. Reed's mind raced. He had expected a trap, but not on this scale. Admiral Kane, this is Reed. Confirming enemy presence, repeat, we've sprung the trap, engaging contingency plan. Back at Aegis Core, Admiral Kane's expression was calm despite the tension. She turned to Commander Voss. Activate the Eclipse Cannon. Hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid near Jupiter was humanity's most secret weapon, a massive energy cannon powered by an experimental fusion core. For months, engineers had disguised it as ordinary space rock. Now the rock panel split open, revealing the glowing barrel beneath. Eclipse cannon online, reported a technician. Charging sequence initiated. Kane's voice was cold and precise. Target the densest cluster of enemy ships, fire on my command. In the middle of the battle, Kryvax roared in triumph as his ships surrounded the Shadow Fleet. They cannot escape. Destroy them all. Suddenly, a massive beam of white-hot energy burst from the nearby asteroid field. It sliced through the Zerath formation, vaporizing dozens of ships in a single shot. Kryvax staggered back, his 4 eyes wide with shock. What is that? Vorash stared at the readings in disbelief. Overlord, an unknown human superweapon. It was hidden inside the asteroid field. Before Kryvax could react, the Shadow Fleet struck again. Emerging from the chaos, Reed's ships targeted the disoriented Zerath vessels with precise, devastating fire. Now they are the ones in the trap, Reed said grimly. The battle raged fiercely. Shadow Fleet ships darted between enemy formations, their cloaks flickering briefly before vanishing. Kryvax's forces fought desperately, but confusion spread through their ranks. The Eclipse cannon fired again, tearing another massive hole in the Dominion's fleet. On the Phantom Spear, Reed coordinated the final strike. All units, converge on the Overlord's flagship. If Kryvax falls, the rest will break. But Kryvax was no fool. As his fleet burned around him, he ordered a retreat. Signal all surviving ships, he bellowed. Fall back to safe distance. The humans may have won this battle, but the war is not over. His flagship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind wreckage and silence. When the last Zerath ship fled, cheers erupted across the Shadow Fleet. "We did it!" shouted a young pilot. Reed allowed himself a small, proud smile. No, Kryvax escaped. This war is far from over, but today we showed him humanity's true strength. At Aegis Corps, Admiral Kane addressed her officers. Today we turned Kryvax's trap into our victory. The Dominion now knows that humanity will not be easily crushed. But make no mistake, Kryvax will return, and next time, he will come with everything he has. Commander Voss asked quietly, "What do we do until then?" Kane's eyes burned with determination. "We prepare. We expand the Shadow Fleet, and when Kryvax comes, we'll be ready to end this war." Far across the galaxy, Kryvax sat alone in his private chamber, his claws trembling with rage. "These humans," he hissed. "They are not prey. They are predators in the dark." He stared out at the distant stars, vowing vengeance. Next time, Earth will not have shadows to hide behind. I will burn their world to ash. The war had reached a turning point, and in the darkness of space, the final battle was drawing near. Battle humanity had ever faced was about to unfold. For weeks, the Zerath Dominion had been regrouping after the disaster near Jupiter. Overlord Kryvax had retreated into the outer systems, repairing damaged warships, calling reinforcements from conquered worlds, and plotting revenge. Every intelligence report told him one truth: humanity was no longer hiding. The Shadow Fleet had revealed itself in small strikes, and the galaxy whispered that humans were a force unlike any other. Kryvax would not tolerate defiance for long. On Earth, Admiral Sarah Kane stood in the control room of Aegis Corps, surrounded by her top officers. The room was tense but filled with purpose. Holographic screens displayed the positions of both human and alien fleets. Commander Ilara Voss broke the silence. "Admiral, enemy transmissions indicate that Kryvax is bringing his full fleet toward the inner solar system. This is it, the final assault." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Then it is time to emerge. Shadow Fleet, prepare for full deployment. Every vessel, every hidden base, every weapon we have developed, all of it will strike as one. Humanity's future depends on it." Captain Jackson Reed, standing at the head of the tactical map, gave a firm nod. "All units are ready, Admiral. We strike together and leave no doubt in the Dominion's minds." Kane looked at the star-filled viewport. "Today, we show the galaxy that humans are hunters, not prey." The first human warship slipped silently from the moon, hidden asteroid bases, and deep ocean facilities. Their black hulls absorbed every speck of starlight, making them invisible to enemy scanners. As the fleet moved outward, the crews could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. Every maneuver, every calculation, could mean the difference between survival and extinction. Reed's voice came over the comms. "All units, maintain formation, cloak active, engage only if detected." The Zerath fleet, numbering over 5,000 ships, loomed near the asteroid belt. They believed they were entering a war already won. Their patrols had detected only scattered human vessels in the past, and their arrogance was complete. Kryvax stood on the bridge of the Blood Dominion, his golden eyes scanning the system. "They are here," he said, voice low and dangerous. "Every last one of them. Prepare to crush them. Leave none alive." Vorash, though loyal, hesitated. "Supreme One, their numbers are far greater than we expected. Are you certain we can overwhelm them?" Kryvax's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "Numbers do not matter. Discipline matters. We have fought countless species across the galaxy. Humanity will fall like all the rest." As the fleets approached each other, the humans made the first move, but not in the way the Zerath expected. Instead of a direct assault, human ships moved in coordinated waves, appearing and disappearing like shadows. Torpedoes struck enemy supply ships, mines detonated, In asteroid fields, and stealth fighters harassed the enemy at multiple points at once. Panic rippled through the Zirath ranks. Ships fired at empty space, communication lines jammed with confusion, and officers screamed in frustration. Kryvax's claws clenched as he watched the destruction unfold. How are they everywhere at once? He growled. Vorash shook his head. I do not know, Overlord. They are ghosts in space. Every attack is unexpected, coordinated, precise. This is unlike anything we have faced. On the bridge of the Phantom Spear, Captain Reed's calm voice cut through the tension. All units now. Strike the Central Fleet positions, target their flagship. The Shadow Fleet surged forward. Cloaked vessels appeared for only seconds before firing concentrated volleys, then vanished again. The Blood Dominion trembled under repeated hits, shields flashing as torpedoes and laser beams struck with deadly precision. Kryvax bellowed in anger and frustration. Do not let them touch us, he roared. Destroy them all. But every attempt to focus fire failed. The humans were too fast, too clever, too unpredictable. Each attack left the Zirath reeling, uncertain which direction to defend. Above Jupiter, a massive human weapon activated. The Eclipse cannon, hidden inside an asteroid field, fired a concentrated energy beam that ripped through the heart of the Zirath fleet. Hundreds of warships were destroyed in seconds, their hulls evaporating in a flash of white-hot light. Kryvax's golden eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. From the moon, Admiral Kane watched the battle unfold on the largest tactical display. She spoke quietly to herself, almost a whisper, yet full of resolve. This is our moment. The Shadow Fleet rises and the galaxy will remember who we are. The battle reached its climax near the orbit of Mars. Reed's flagship moved at the center of a coordinated strike. Shadow Fleet ships converged on the remaining Zirath capital ships, firing in unison. Kryvax, realizing his fleet was collapsing, attempted a retreat, but the humans anticipated this. Cut off by stealth frigates and ambush squads, the retreat was blocked. The final engagement was swift. Energy beams tore through the remaining Zirath vessels. Shields collapsed, and entire squadrons disintegrated in seconds. Kryvax roared in frustration, his ship nearly destroyed. This cannot be. Humanity is not meant to fight us. But reality could not be ignored. His fleet was shattered, and the Shadow Fleet had not lost a single vessel. On the bridge of the Phantom Spear, Reed allowed himself a small, proud smile. It's done. The Dominion's fleet is broken. Kryvax is retreating. Ilara Voss nodded, relief mixed with excitement on her face. The galaxy will never forget this. They thought Earth would surrender. But we became the hunters. Admiral Kane stepped forward. Her eyes scanned the aftermath displayed on the holoscreen. Smoke and fire streaked across the orbiting debris of the Zirath Armada. She turned to Reed and Voss. Today, humans were underestimated, she said firmly. Tomorrow the galaxy will learn to respect us, and every civilization watching knows one truth now. Humanity cannot be conquered. In the distance, Kryvax's flagship vanished into hyperspace, battered and broken. His mind raced with anger and disbelief. Never before had he faced an enemy so cunning, so united, and so fearless. Vorash, standing nearby, dared to speak. Supreme One, perhaps we underestimated them. Kryvax's 4 golden eyes narrowed. No. Never underestimate an enemy again. Humanity is no longer a primitive species. They are predators, and we have been taught a hard lesson. Even in defeat, Kryvax's pride would not allow surrender. He would regroup, rebuild, and return. But the victory had already shifted. The balance of power in the galaxy was changing, and humanity had taken its first step toward dominance. Back. On Earth, celebrations erupted quietly across hidden bases and command centers. News broadcasts, carefully curated to avoid panic, told citizens of mysterious victories in orbit. People who had once cowered now looked up at the stars with hope and pride. Humanity had survived the impossible, and it had fought back with intelligence, courage, and determination. Admiral Kane addressed the assembled crews and officers. The Shadow Fleet has proven itself tonight. We have shown the galaxy that Earth will never surrender. But remember, this is only the beginning. We must prepare for the future, strengthen our defenses, and ensure that humanity's shadow is felt wherever threats arise. Captain Reed and Commander Voss exchanged looks, knowing the Admiral was right. Kryvax would return. But for now, humanity had emerged victorious. The stars above Earth seemed brighter that night, though no one truly noticed. Above the ruins of the shattered Zerath fleet, messages spread across the galaxy. Civilizations that had once bowed to the Dominion began whispering their doubts. If the humans could defeat Kryvax's armada, what else were they capable of? And deep in the shadows of space, the Shadow Fleet remained hidden, ever ready, watching, waiting. Humanity had stepped out of the darkness not to hide but to hunt. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy understood the truth. Humans are not prey. They are predators in the stars, and in that truth, hope and fear took root. The war had not ended. It had only begun. But one thing was certain. The humans had emerged victorious, and the legend of the Shadow Fleet would be remembered forever.